I think a lot of it is just about getting back to basics. I feel when you feel anxiousness, elevated cortisol, just get back to the fundamentals. All these things going on in the country, we can't really impact, we can't really affect because there's a lot of broken people in the country. Maybe even your own family, your friend group, maybe even you. Maybe you're broken. I mean, I feel broken. I feel like it's a constant struggle back and forth to evolve and be better than I was before. Even an hour ago, like self-improvement happens incrementally over time. There's no leap and bound in innovation in your own resilience. You got to keep at it. Chipping away is a great analogy. One chip at a time. It's disheartening to see churches in our country that are being attacked, people being killed for their faith, for their belief. Doesn't coincide with whatever evil intent and actions that people are inflicting on innocent people. I mean, this dude rolls up and he just wants to hurt people. He sets the building on fire after he kills 4 innocent people. And institutionally, as if the institution is supposed to support you, take care of you, nurture you, protect you, we have this idea. I think a lot of radical leftists look at the institution as their religion. They think they have the burden of responsibility, and it becomes that institution, that entity, that government agency becomes their daddy. And I say it like that facetiously because I really do mean that's the relationship. And when that entity or that institution isn't taking care of their needs, they lash out like an angry teenager. The reality is the institution was never your daddy. You should have cut the umbilical cord a long time ago. Because the more that you could rely independently on yourself, your family, and things that you can control, the better off you'll be. You don't need the state of Utah involved in your family. You don't need the government over empowered and emphasized violating your life. That was the whole point of this experiment from the onset. Decentralize power. Allow people to live within the confines of law and order, this amazing liberty and freedom without being constantly violated by the government. I've been personally violated by the government. When I was a contractor in the CIA and was going back and forth between these amazing vacation destinations like Yemen, I would come back and I would be off my rotation because there was a playbook. And then for that time back, I would do the part-time military thing. The right hand, being the CIA, wasn't talking to the left hand, being a civilian and a member of the National Guard / reserve component of the military. And so I would come back from Yemen and then fly domestically in the United States. And every time I scanned my boarding ticket, you would get an alarm that would go off. And they would pull me into secondary, which is just an additional screening process. Every single place, everywhere I went. I even had instances where U.S. Marshals bookmarked the seat next to me, which is a technique for saving that seat. and then would sit right next to me, and I could see the printing of their firearm on their belly. And I'm like, are you serious? You're not hiding in plain sight. Your cool pants and your Patagonia shirt with your printing pistol inside your waistband, yeah, you're not fooling anybody. I had a conversation with a TSA agent who opened up one of my carry-on bags, and I had my military uniform. And I had it, just how you fold it, not intentionally, but I had it tabs up. So I had the Special Forces tab, the Ranger tab, the Airborne tab, and then my unit patch. And the guy opening the bag with my IDs in his hand said, "Why do you have a military uniform?" And he said it smugly. I'm like, is that a serious question? Are you asking me a serious question right now? Yeah, I'm serious. Do I look like I'm joking? Well, based on your question and what physically is in your hand, I take it as a joke because you have my military ID in your hand. It says Sergeant Major E9. There's a picture of my face, and it is a official DOD issued military identification. And you're asking me why I have a uniform. Oh, I understand that, but I don't understand why you're traveling with a uniform. Because I'm going to my drill, dummy. And I might have said dummy because I was so insulted. I said, go get your supervisor. He goes to get his supervisor. His supervisor comes in. And he goes, what's the problem? And I said, you tell me what the problem is. Because this is the third time I've been stopped in the continental United States. And he said, listen, let me just share something with you. I get it. You're in the military. I don't know what you do in civilian life, but you're on a watch list. I said, oh, okay. I'm on a watch list. So I called my boss at the agency, and he deconflicted and amazingly was able to get that sorted. Not before I was interrogated. I was treated like a terrorist in my own country. Fast forward 2019, we have riots, a whole bunch of drama in this country. People jumping on the bandwagon. Remember that? Just jumping on that bandwagon. As they jumped on the bandwagon, I was jumping off. Because I was like, what? My life matters as well. Oh, Sean King, and I mentioned this on my Patreon, Sean King's a white dude pretending to be African American. And he's advocating for people to go out and burn the cities down. I've said this a lot. I'll say it again. In Atlanta, where they burned down 50% of the businesses that happen to be black. I said, something's wrong here. It doesn't make sense. And I didn't post the black square like a lot of you guys did. A lot of my friends did. And I was like, dude, what are you guys doing? What are you even talking about? As that evolved, it became certain, because it happened, that politicians were telling law enforcement agencies and officers not to do their job. I'd never seen that. What do you mean a mayor told a chief of police to not enforce the law and to leave people hanging, to get raped, to get beat up and assaulted, and not to respond at all? Like, no one's coming to save you at all. I thought, oh, okay. So I started American Contingency. Did a viral video that's been deleted by Google, by YouTube, because I told people to get off the bench and not go to war, not riot, not be violent, but to take back their independence by being self-reliant and leaning in on their neighbors, taking care and policing up each other, because the police weren't coming to save you because they had a mandate to not do that. And that was seen as extreme. I'll never forget the article that was written about me that was like 15 pages long. I haven't even done 15 pages of things in life to justify that long article. That called me an extremist, a radical, a white supremacist. Just ironic. Pretty funny. Saying that I was training violent citizens. It's funny, the picture they used is like in a warehouse where we're doing one of our seminars and there's a couple hundred people there and they're all smiling and happy. It's diversified. There's every race, every color and creed, and that's the picture they use to define me. Because that's what they'll do. If they don't agree, actually it's deeper than that. Once you start to empower yourself because you cut the umbilical cord and you empower others because you cut their umbilical cords, and you start to gain back a semblance of how it was supposed to be, the entities, the government gets scared because they want the power. And so they radicalize you by definition in terms, and then use government resources, including the FBI, which looked into me. And they also blacklisted me. Like legitimately, there's a blacklist. James O'Keefe, at the time he was working with Project Veritas, he's now independent, but at the time he was working with them, whistle blew the whole thing, and my name was on a document, American contingency on a document. Amazing. In my own country. To feel violated by the government I swore an oath to defend the Constitution, and the government decides they're going to go after me. They blacklist me. I lose my Shopify, my banking account, all my partners jump ship, and then every social media platform blocked and deleted me. It wasn't until I did the Joe Rogan podcast and talked about these issues that Meta plugged me back in the following day. I imagine Zuck was listening to me on his AirPods in his jiu-jitsu studio and was like, oh, we probably should unblock this guy. And he did. They blocked my own mom because my mom posted an American contingency post, and they blocked her Miwa's salon and beauty spa, her small business account, as a immigrant who migrated here the legal way and built a business off her back, nearly broken. All the taxes she paid, all the commitment she made, pouring concrete in our dirt floor garage to feed our family. And they deleted everything that gave her the ability to expand and evolve her business. Why? Because it didn't fit the narrative. That's our country in a nutshell. This Utah situation that I'm dealing with, it is a complete violation. I've talked to several lawyers over the last few days, both in civil rights and constitutional law, and every single one of them, who are typically realists when it comes to what cases they're going to take, because everybody says, or everybody might have a claim that, oh, my civil rights were violated, but they can't demonstrate the due process issues, the violations of those civil rights and liberties, and even the amendments that they violated. I laid out my case to these lawyers, and they're like, whoa, do you have proof of this? Yes, I have receipts. I wouldn't even say it out loud if I didn't have receipts. And as I provide the receipts, they're like, Utah is in violation of your constitutional rights. We have a great case. I imagine, based on conversations I've had over the last 6 months, that my situation, where I am being violated, is a systemic issue in this country. Because we've allowed the authorities, the people who are put in positions because they have a college degree, they applied on USA.gov and applied for a job, that they now have the authority and the power to violate your constitutional rights. And maybe they were bullied. Maybe they had a circumstance where they're getting back now at whoever it is that violated them. That seems to be what's happening. As I see guys like James Comey get indicted by a grand jury, I imagine at some point that pendulum is going to swing back in our direction. The pendulum is on the swing back, by the way, because it swung forward when the Biden administration was persecuting with 274 federal agents from the FBI that were doing crowd control on J6. Really, crowd control. I've never seen a statute in the duties and responsibilities of a federal Bureau of Investigation agent, a special agent, to do crowd control. 274 agents. Now, it makes me wonder about that Ray Epps guy. Like, what's really going on? Because we just acknowledged via the director of the FBI and the president of the United States that everybody's conspiracy on this was true. 274 agents. What's that look like to me? What's it look like to you? It looks like tyranny. That's what tyranny looks like. Going after political opponents. Banning, not shadow banning, banning and locking people out because you don't agree with their political or ideological position. I've been banned on social media talking about God, talking about riots, talking about survival. I got banned off of Facebook talking about how you should prep because you should can and jar, and lost my account for the second time. So that pendulum swing is coming back in our direction. How many members of Antifa were in jail, were imprisoned because of their violent acts against innocent people? The answer is zero. None. And now they're designated a terrorist organization. Again, all things that are happening as the pendulum swings. When it swings back, you better be prepared to cut the umbilical cord if you haven't done it already. Last thing, I'll get off my soapbox, but I'm doing a class tomorrow on triage and stop the bleed for my Patreon. There are a lot of things that happen in this active shooting that happens all the time, where we lean in on this acronym or this protocol set forth by the government. Run, hide, fight makes no sense. I can sit here for an hour and explain to you why it doesn't make sense and give you the protocol. I need to give you technical skills because there's a lot of skill sets that you could utilize in just life. The accident, the catastrophe, and the the man-made catastrophe that will benefit you. First aid, stop the bleed, triage, transporting a casualty, even learning how to do a fireman carry. Most significantly, it's always top of mind, is security. I put it out on my Preaching to the Choir episode last Sunday and have about 100 emails that I was going to train these churches and do consultation with them for their security teams. And I'm starting actually tomorrow. I got my first set of calls tomorrow. If you don't have a protocol at your workplace, in the church that you frequent, or the institution that you're around, you should. And if their answer is run, hide, fight, then you need to informally navigate it on your own. You are your first line of defense and nobody else. Last but not least, God, family, and everything else. Appreciate you guys.